And that those that I could find seem to be based around more conventional garage or house sounds. So I wanted to make a tutorial to show you how I make these kind of bass sounds. The kind of bass sounds you'll find in music by artists like Manu Lang, Hypho, and all of the artists kind of that ilk. I made this little loop to demonstrate. So not the most inspiring, but there you go. So in my opinion, the key to these sounds is harmonically rich waveforms, pitch bend, and a lot of overdrive. One of the things to bear in mind when making these patches in this way is that they take up a lot of processing power because they're composed of 4 separate patches. I've uploaded the presets in Ableton racks in a link below, so if you just want the sounds to play with, you can download them. Normally I'd work using Ableton's instrument racks, but I'll use individual MIDI channels here, so it's a bit clearer if you're not using Ableton Live. So now moving on to the patch itself, you want to start with the initial preset, set to mono, because it's a bass sound. I'm going to put the master up to 79 to start off with. Head to the amp envelope. You want the attack to be 110 milliseconds, decay to be 573, and the release to be 37. And so first we go to oscillator A, go to the vowel sounds and pick the wah-wah. I'm going to take it down to octaves, just click on the wavetable there so you get a better view of it. Go to the unison, put it up to 3. The detune wants to go down to 0.05, and the blend just up a bit to 77. Now head to the global tab, take the width down to 0, and you also want to go back to the oscillator tab and put the phase and random down to 0 as well. Also the wavetable position can go all the way to the right. Now for LFO1, put the rate to 1/2. You want to make sure it's in envelope mode. And you want to use it to modulate the wavetable position to the value of -43. You go to the matrix and it's easier to type in the individual values. Now you want to head over to oscillator B. You want to load in a square wave from the basic shapes. There we go. You want to put the phase and the random, again, both to 0. And you want to put it up by 1 octave. Level, again, go down to 0 because this is an FM sound. So you want to go back to oscillator A, to FM from B, and you want to put that up to 68. Now, if we head to the filter section, you want a low pass 12, which is already loaded in there. The resonance put to 0. The cutoff to 34. And you want to use LFO1 to modulate it to 20, I think the value is. Now, if we head over to LFO2, we put the rate, put 1. Put the rate to 1/4, which is already there. Put the delay also to 1/4. You want to put it into trigger mode. And you want to modulate the cutoff of the filter to 35. Now if you head to LFO3, put it into envelope mode, put the rate to 1/2. You want to make it into more of a sawtooth shape. Now if we utilize our second filter, so head to the filter section, change it to a low pass 12, the same as the first filter, put the cutoff down to 20, and then you want to modulate it with LFO3 up to 56. Now this is essentially your basic sound. What we're going to do now is drag over this piece of MIDI, copy it over. You can see that it's got some pitch modulation on it. And I'm also going to duplicate this 3 times and group it together for 3 separate layers. What you then want to do is, for the first layer, it is just a pure sine wave. Turn off oscillator B, go to analog, basic shapes, and put the wave position all the way down, take the unison down to 1. So now that is just purely a sine wave. The next thing you want to do is split the bands, essentially, so you don't have frequencies masking other frequencies. So if you get the EQ3 down to 80, this up to 5 to 5. So that's just the sub. Drag it over to what would be the middle region, do that. And then finally over to the high region and do that. So currently sounds like this. So what you want to do next is head to this one. And you just want to change the cutoff up to 67, just so it opens a little bit more. You also want to go to the global and put the width up so that the higher band has a bit more width. You also want to duplicate it and make a slightly different patch. Now this different patch is just square wave based. So if we open Serum up again, just remove the wave table position modulation and we change this to basic shapes square. Put oscillator B up another octave. Filter 1 goes down to 18 Hertz. In the matrix section, I want this one to go to, LFO1 to go to 37, LFO2 to go to 16, filter 2, you want it to go to 8 Hertz, and you want it to go to 47 here. So that sounds this. Just turn this down a bit. So now to the saturation part of the sounds. I'm just going to use some overdrive that I put on the previous version of the sound that I created, because it can be a bit of a ball ache to adjust them too much, basically. And so this is going on the first part of the sound. Make sure you saturate before the EQ so that you get the effect of saturating the lower harmonics without actually saturating the lower harmonics. You can see that these are pretty cranked. This is probably the least cranked one, actually. The one for the top is a drive 94, dry wet 100. So these are really quite a lot of distortion needed to make these sounds kind of sound the way they are. It's a similar setting here. Again, before the EQ, so make sure that's before the EQ as well. It's all good. And the group now is, and that's basically the sound. I've got a bass bus here, so I'm just going to bus it to that. We can just solo that. You can see it's already going to the reverb, which I have here, and this is the whole bass bus sound. See, we've got the LO2 with the equalizer, just with a high shelf, just to make sure it's a bit more high-end information, essentially. We've got more distortion, tube, saturation, and it's very obviously high in the mix, 100%, 5.7. Got parallel compression rack here. You can see a lot of compression, almost 15 dB of gain reduction. Got a crush rack. Not very loud, not very hard, but just to add a bit more grit to the sound. And then there is chorus as well. Now, in terms of kind of making the different articulations, obviously you get this, you can do different pitch bends, so kind of up, down. The other one was just sort of down. And if you adjust the rates and the delays of the LFOs, you can basically create these new articulations. So like I did in these instances of Serum, you can change the rate on that, change the rate delay on that. But it's kind of easy doing it as one and then duplicating it as opposed to changing them painstakingly in each kind of individual instance of Serum. So they can be a bit of a pain to adjust, but obviously if you kind of want that sound, then that's what you have to do. So thanks for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to check out my music as well, the link will be on the screen now.